The title that we put on the website and the program last week for this week's talk is An Attytood of Gratytood, which is Philadelphia East for Thanksgiving. And actually, there's a practitioner friend of mine in New Jersey, Sam Brown, who actually, he says attitude, and then when he gets in, he says Attytood of Gratytood, and I used to just laugh at it, but now it tickles me. Because adopting an attitude of gratitude lets us get into that space of thankfulness. And by the way, Thanksgiving is the only holiday that actually is named for one of the steps in a practical prayer. So keep that in mind. I got a couple of stories to tell you before we double back into that. So on Sunday mornings, I get up early, I go to yoga class. And the yoga instructor today told this pithy story. And she said, because it's windy, it's so windy out today. And she says, when the wind blows, a pessimist will complain about the wind. They'll say, it blows. That's all they did there? Yeah. She says, an optimist will look forward to the wind changing. And a realist will trim the sails to make the best use possible of the wind that they have. And doing my downward dogs and upward dogs and the rest of that, I was thinking about that. Because those are all true. And I like sailing and adjusting the sails and doing all of that stuff. And that's certainly not a new concept. But where does metaphysics come in? Because that's what we're talking about here in New Thought, about having a new idea and creating a new experience. How does that fit in? Is that pessimism, where we just complain about the situation? Well, obviously that's not it, because that's not what we're about. Is it optimism? I like to think that we're optimists. But actually, with optimism, what we're doing is we're complaining in positive language. Because we still don't like the wind, and we want the wind to change, but instead of talking about the wind the way that it is, we talk about the wind the way that we want it to be, and we use hope, which is a way of acknowledging that we don't have what we want right now. I hope it'll change. Who do you think is going to change it? How do you think that's going to change? What channel is that going to change through? And then there's the pragmatic and practical part of adjusting the sails and dealing with the situation the way that it is. And what I have noticed about this group is that we are very practical. We tend to be very pragmatic. We're very idealistic, but we're also very pragmatic. And we can take the situation that we're in and adjust ourselves and adjust the way that we're interacting with the situation to bring about something new and wonderful. That's a very, very creative process. And there's a fourth way, which is to understand how the wind is blowing, where it is that we are in our particular craft of life, how we want to be sailing, what our destination is to be, whether we want it to be a peaceful and calm experience or an exciting and thrilling experience. We get to choose the sort of experience that we want to have, set that as an intention, and know without question, doubt, or hesitation that as we are adjusting the sails and doing our part, that the wind is shifting in such a way that it brings all of those pieces together. It's not the wind out there and me doing stuff here. There is one creative power and presence, one infinite intelligence that creates everything, and we're each part of it. That's what we're talking about. So it's not me here and the wind out there, it's all of us together co-creating that new experience, that next thing that's going to happen. Can you do that? Yes. One more time, can you do that?
Yes.
Yes. Are you doing that all the time?
No.
Yes. Do you know that you're doing that all the time? We are always creating our experience according to our intentionality and our beliefs. The difference between your intentionality and your belief, by the way, is your intentionality is the stuff that you claim you want to have happen, and your belief is what you believe is going to happen. So New Thought is the process about creating a new experience by shifting our beliefs, by opening up a new channel in our own consciousness to acknowledge that something greater and more wonderful is possible, and opening the way for that to happen. Just the way Ginger did the prayer work story about getting a new job possibility. Bam! The guy was looking for her for a month. Do you know how many times Spirit had to keep her out of the Starbucks until she was ready to listen to the guy? Oh my God! And he only claimed a month. He was probably thinking about it for 3 or 4 months before that.
Yeah.
Okay. There is no time necessary in this process. So there have been some troubling things going on for the last couple of weeks that you may or may not be aware of. I got my biopsy results. There's some other news going on. We'll get to that. But what I want to talk about is the biopsy results. Now, the biopsy is because somebody detected something in my body that might have been improper. In my case, it was an elevated PSA level. And it went on long enough that I got referred to a specialist, and I found myself at the Fox Chase Cancer Center. Now, the word that jumps out there is cancer. So I found myself, and this was in February, I found myself at the Fox Chase Cancer Center getting a biopsy. And it's a prostate biopsy, and I'm not going to talk about that at all, other than it's not particularly comfortable, and it's even less dignified. And it came back clean.
Yay.
But I had a 6-month follow-up. So they checked the PSA levels again, and they were elevated. So then I got to have an MRI, which made the biopsy actually seem much more dignified. And they saw a thing in the MRI, which means that they wanted to now go and do another biopsy. Well, I didn't even have the element of surprise. I knew what that was going to be like. So I went back again and then went on vacation. And I'm not going to keep you in suspense for the rest of this, although that would be kind of fun, because the doctor says that the results are negative, and I told her that I thought that was very happy, because I don't really like the way that the medical industry uses language, because when she tells me that I'm perfectly healthy, I don't want that to be negative in any way. Mm-hmm. But what happened is, in the couple of weeks between when I went to the Fox Chase Cancer Center for my second biopsy following all of this stuff, that's where my attention was. I found my mind going there. I found my mind paying attention to the wind the way that it was blowing. And I'd be going along, cancer, it's like, and it took everything that I could do to turn my attention away from whatever the calamity could be to the truth that I am perfect, whole, and complete right here, right now, and always. And disregarding whatever the results of the test were, what I came to realize is that there was a team of people who was paying attention to me, and the whole job was to keep me healthy. The reason that we were doing the tests wasn't to find cancer. It was to find that there wasn't cancer. To confirm, in fact, that I am healthy, whole, and complete, and in the event that something needed to be done, to be able to do that. But boy, was there a roller coaster going on in my mind. And I've been trained in this stuff, and I've been experienced in this stuff. I found this teaching in the mid-90s, so 20 years going on with this. And I still got wrapped up into that thinking. So when the wind starts blowing, don't be the optimist and say, oh, it'll be fine. And don't be the pragmatic, practical person, well, I'm just going to do all this stuff. Take that fourth step. To get to the point where you can drop into prayer, where you can turn your conscious attention to that bigger picture of whatever it is that's going on. Because that is possible. Now, I am delighted to be able to tell this happy story about my health right now. And the reason that I can do that is because I don't have to go for follow-up for another 6 months. So, as of right now, happy, whole, complete, healthy story. And I'm perfectly okay with that. And I'm perfectly okay with keeping it that way. So then there's that other story that's been going on for the last couple of weeks. Actually, it's been going on for a couple of years. It just had a plot twist 2 weeks ago. And a lot of people, especially in this community, have been thinking about that. And obviously it doesn't have anything to do with the situation that I personally was going through, except it's exactly the same. I'm working on a joke. I don't have the punchline yet, A racist, a misogynist, and a climate change and I are walking into a cabinet meeting. I don't know where it goes from there. It's really easy to get into the pessimism and say, it blows. Or the optimism, thinking some magical thing is going to happen and it's going to get better. And I'm going to be hopeful, which means I'm acknowledging how bad it is right now and I'm just going to be patient. Ugh. And we can do those practical things in the world, those things that need to be done. We can adjust the sails. We can accommodate for whatever the situation happens to be. And that's really important. The willingness to step up and step out and do something is huge. And there are a whole bunch of ways that we can do that. We've got a volunteer event coming up in a couple of weeks, Books Through Bars, which is where people go out and gather up books. And Books Through Bars puts them in packages and sends them to incarcerated inmates so that they can learn and study and grow and develop themselves and take advantage of the time that they have while they're incarcerated. So when they're done with that, they come out knowing something. This is a positive step and it's really valuable. So whether you do that or something else, take a step, take a stand. Definitely get involved. This is a great time to become an activist because this is the time when stuff is changing. The results of the election that we just had, the one thing that it tells us is that there are a huge number of people in this country who are hugely frustrated with the way things have been going. I don't know about you, but me too. Now, I wasn't happy with the way that we're adjusting it, but there's now a possibility to change something. And that's where part 4 comes in. Who do I want to be in this next version of our shared community, of our country? What do I want to see? Who are the people who I want to support? And this is, there's some challenging things that could be coming along the way. Got 9 candles up here. My family, my mother and her parents, my aunt escaped from Nazi Germany as Jews in 1939. One of those candles that was told that it couldn't be a candle. There are now people who are claiming that the Islam candle isn't really a candle. There are people who think that stuff that I think is true is not true. So am I going to fight with them? Maybe. Am I going to disagree with them? Yep. Am I going to do something about it? Yep. What am I going to do? God knows what I'm going to do. God knows what I'm going to do. But I had breakfast with my daughter. She's 24. And she got this idea that she's going to start a white liberal support group. And I said, really? To sit around and complain about how hard it is to be a white liberal in front of your hand? She says, no. Because she's a white liberal, she is able to support other communities. The communities, the people who are vulnerable, who are in jeopardy. It's not about what it is for her, it's about what it is that they can get together to do for other people. That's taking a stand. I don't know what that's going to look like. I know the name's going to change. So this is an invitation. This is an invitation to us to create the world that we want to live in. Because we can complain about the way that the wind is blowing. Raise your hand if you've done that. Go ahead. Fess up. You're not raising your hand? Okay. You're just not participating. We can be optimistic that things are going to change. And I think we all are. And we're probably willing to take a stand and do something in the world. But the most important thing for us to do is the work that we do in consciousness. It is so easy to think that this is us versus them. That there's a circle and then the savages. And it's not true. There is we. There is us. I've often joked that the one thing that would immediately bring all people on planet Earth together, all 7 billion of us, is an invasion from outer space. I'm not praying for an invasion from outer space. I mean, you can't tell right now. You might remember which of those candles is which, but they're all the same. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to feel secure. Everybody wants to feel loved. Everybody wants to have an opportunity to share their gifts. Everybody wants to live in health and vitality and comfort. We want to have enough food. We want to have an opportunity to share our creativity. We all want the same thing. So we get to rub up against each other, get some friction going, and figure out how we're going to do that together. So during the meditation today, we're going to have an opportunity to dive into the sort of world we want to be in and the kind of person we want to be in that world. Do you want to be an optimist? Do you want to be a pessimist? Do you want to be a realist? Or are you opening yourself up to something new, that's something that not already defined, to that still small voice, and allow yourself to be guided? That's the invitation for us today. In the same way that Orion Mountain Dreamer gave us an invitation to share our authenticity, this is our invitation to create something new and wonderful. So do that, because you are absolutely a blessing and you deserve the best. So it is.
So it is.